All right. So we are sitting here the day after the summer solstice, which means it is the Cancerian season of 2026. So we're going to look at the sign and archetype of Cancer and everything that corresponds with it for today's Astro Round Table. First thing to get down to with our business is the element, which is water. Cancer is a water element, and that is all the things that have to deal with our emotions and feelings. It's that liquid realm of things that wash in and out. It's also synonymous with the astral plane, astral events, things that take place in the astral. That is all kind of in this in between emotional and visible space, very much like our liquid water, which is also giving us something about the soul, thinking about like, how you can program water. I think about the Dr. Emoto or whoever it was that was talking about programming water with different intentions. The way that it retains memory is kind of linking in with that soul quality that water has, which is also akin to our karma, our karmic trail. All of those things in the water make that a very fun element to dive deep into. Along with that, we still have these qualities of magnetism, things that attract and repel, is kind of a force that we can think of in that liquid, watery realm. And then the things that are again held in that space, like if you programmed it with the memory and the way that the water can be kind of like charged up with a lot of recall or memory that it's uh, holding, or emptied, poured out, and forgotten. So all of those qualities tie in with our key element of water, which is part of our sign Cancer today. The modality that fits with our Cancer sign is cardinal, and that's true for all of the seasons that are starting a season. So here at the beginning of summer, starting that up, we've got Cancer, cardinal, and it's charging forward, initiating, beginning, pioneering. All of those are kind of the verbs that have to do with the modality of cardinal, which has an action orientation. It's about getting things going. It's starting off that season. And so no matter which cardinal sign it is, it's got that beginnings vibe to it. And Cancer being, if we, kind of piggyback that with emotions and water, it's starting things and charging into and initiating things from that emotional place deep within us, our emotional core, which often has a lot to say about our subjective needs, especially safety and comfort and familiar, and why we might take action or begin things to insulate a sense of that familiar home safety. That's all wrapped up in our archetype today. The glyph and symbol that goes along with it, we've got two crab claws enclosed in a container of insulation. So the shape that, often gets spun into being a six and a nine is just kind of in a different pose, but it's two claws. And when we think about the crab, there is a myth, I believe, with the crab that it was like a giant crab that was sent to kind of thwart Hercules in his quest against the Hydra, I believe, in some way. Um, and I could be getting some of this wrong, but that is what I'm recollecting. And it's funny how the Hydra, I believe, is synonymous with the Scorpio myth. But this Cancer, the crab, he was crushed by Hercules. And I believe it was Hera or somebody that made him immortal up in the sky. So that's where we get our giant crab of Cancer. And the qualities that this crab is kind of imbuing that reflect and match with this season include timid. There's a timidity. If you've ever heard of someone doing like a crab walk, which also goes known as walking sideways, kind of not wanting to step on anybody's toes in a way that we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but we also we don't want to upset or trigger anything like a trap or anything like that. So there's a timidity about kind of tiptoeing about, as well as I didn't even put this word on there, but it comes in right now, is a tenacity, the holding on. Once I've got a hold or a pinch, I'm holding on. The pinch and hold tight, the tenacity. I hard exterior and soft interior. So there's this quality to the sign Cancer that I often think of as like an eggshell, which is a very good symbol and motif, or like your protective bubble. I was just thinking today about the vibe of like Glinda and her little good witch bubble of protection. Something about that motif of a hard exterior protecting a really soft, our infancy, our soft inner, emotionally sensitive inner child, all of those soft, personal spaces that are emotional within us. Um, Again, reflected through the motif of this crab creature. We also have the idea of being snappy. The, Cancer often gets called moody and snappy and crabby and all of these things. And the best analogy I have for that is um, they want things, this vibe, this archetype wants things safe and comfortable. There aren't any threats, and I've got enough food. And so when there's something that's disrupting the field, either, I'm getting hangry because I'm hungry, or I'm, happen to protect myself or keep my sanity or whatever. It's also like we want, this safety, this calm, like the flat part of a lake. We want it to be still and at peace. If too many variables are throwing rocks, creating ripples in the pool, uh, it's too much commotion and it reflects and it kind of reacts back with that snap that can happen when there's too much emotionally getting thrown about to digest things and kind of safely, insulate warmly with it. So those are some of the qualities of the crab that also match with the archetype and the entity and archetype of all the Cancerian lore. The planets, they all have a connection to the sign. Some of them are known to be the ruler, and that is kind of like the planet that owns the sign. And in this case, it's the moon. Moon and Cancer go together in mundane astrology. And Cancer is unique in that it, by being ruled by the moon, it's the only planet, the moon and the sun, that do not have a counterpart in both the masculine and feminine modalities. The moon is always considered feminine, the sun is always masculine. So this feminine moon that rules Cancer has to do with these home qualities, our infancy, how we were brought up, how we were fed and how things were safe and those things. And so they go together really well. So the moon and that emotional, our kind of emotional field and our bubble of how we interface with an environment to both feed our needs and protect our sensitive insides. All of that is moon based. Detriment for any sign is the planet that rules the opposite sign, and the ruler of its opposite Capricorn is Saturn. So Saturn is not on its best fit in a classic sense in Cancer. Saturn is about the exterior. The moon is the interior, Cancer is inside. The cold, hard facts of the outer reality and world, where if you fall off a bus, you get hurt. All of that is Saturn's realm, and so it can make the insides or the emotional nature when it's in Cancer a little bit more strict, a little bit more rigid, a little bit more crystallized in some way. It can get locked into the past. It is also a sense of kind of measuring our inner safety or our inner world by outer standards. So it makes us maybe more traditional and status quo, and it's just a different fit. Um, it's Saturn is not an especially emotional planet. And so it down there in a Cancerian space is asking it to do something that is it's like asking it to play mom at home when it's about climbing the mountain and getting to the top. So that is a little bit of its detriment nature. Exalted would be a planet that it's not the ruler, but it's being at home in its best friend's house, kind of a good fit. Jupiter. Jupiter in Cancer kind of expands that sense of having our needs met, having an abundance of Cancerian comfort, comfy, cozy, at home, safe, well-to-do family, abundant family, open family, all of these qualities that are extremely opening. It's like getting enough water. Or if you can think back to Saturn and detriment, it's kind of like home could have been dry, hard, by the book, not watering a lot, just the basic necessities. Um, Jupiter is giving us like ooshy gushy, juicy abundance to this place that is like our fertile core and our roots of emotional safety, well-being, where we kind of start at home from our infancy in a psychological sense. All of those things that Moon is kind of like the mother of. The fall planet is then the planet that would rule the opposite. Hold on, I don't want to mix myself up. It's the whatever planet is exalted opposite. So the planet that is exalted in Capricorn is Mars. Mars falls in Cancer as well. And if we can think about Mars being this hot fireball taking action, it's really hard to have a calm, nothing's trying to eat me, nothing's chasing me, we don't have a lot of activity, and my needs are not, I'm not feeling needy and grumbly because I have needs. I'm calm and at peace is what Cancer kind of likes. Everything's safe and good. Mars is just keeping things fired up. So Mars in Cancer makes it less likely that the energy is settled at home. It might always be active. It might always feel needy. It might always feel like it's protecting you against something. It's really activating the emotions. It's like having rocks constantly, periodically dropped in the water to digest. So there's always something firing up the water, which Mars rules Scorpio, and firing up that crucible to boil through things is a different story. Here, the status quo of Cancer is Moon, regulation, habituation, cycles, flow, in and out tides that are safe and orderly and routine and calm, and things that feed us and all of that. So Saturn's fit can be a little bit dry and lackluster and kind of lacking. Mars's can just be kind of like uh, frustrating, upsetting, too much, overactive, on edge. All of those qualities get put in the water. If we get out of the whole mundane game of those first four terms, we get to the esoteric and hierarchical. And in this case, both of those rulers are the same planet, Neptune. The esoteric layer of a landscape for signs and planets has to do with it on a soul basis. The other aspects, they're all present all the time, but the first four are more about our mundane things, and everybody seems to care the most about the mundane side of astrology with our stuff and our partner and our house and all of that. Esoteric is like the soul nature, the soul purpose of the sign. And hierarchical takes that soul that's a little bit more selfless. It's not, the soul level is not concerned with the societal status quo so much as it is the process of individuation and um, actualization. The hierarchical nature goes even more selfless, and it's more about the cyclic flow of energy without any kind of personal dog in the fight, so to speak. So that it's just about processings of energies at optimized levels. And Neptune is working through both of those, a very impersonal level hierarchically and a very soul focused feature level esoterically through Neptune and Cancer. Um, and that what that does is it's the symbol, and it's kind of a fit that is the universal mother. We can think about how Cancer and Moon things are our family, our nest, our home, the people that we're close to. We share home together. It's our family. Neptune blurs the lines and erases the boundaries and makes everything a state of dreamy, transcendental oneness. And so it's a universal mother. It's the idea that you are everybody's mother and everything in life is your mother. It's all mother, your mother, I'm mother. So it takes this mothering sense of our roots, of our core, of our inner self, and it just makes that a vast landscape where it is a spiritual place where we're feeding others and nurturing others in a selfless capacity, as though everybody is family. We have enough for all. It doesn't have to worry about the safety and the boundaries and the protection so much as the selflessness and the devotion. And it brings an outlook to our home planet, life, source. All of this is being a universal mother. And so it's all offering endlessly from that infinite oceanic bounty. So Neptune's influence when it comes to Cancerian places and themes has that quality of kind of idealizing, subliming, making it more sublime, subliminal, all of this quality to mothering and at home and safety and peace and things like that. At its best esoteric and hierarchical sense. Of course, every planet's got, its high and low ends, and signs have the same. So there's no such thing as a perfect fit or a horrible fit. It's just the general natures of the personalities of the planets and how they can be generally thought to play in the domain of different signs. And they get assigned different states of rulership, like we just covered. Um, Going past the planets, we can think about the house that's going to be Cancer's territory, and that's the fourth house. It's the fourth sign of zodiac. That translates to what's going on in the fourth house, essentially, and that is the domain of home. It's down there at the bottom of the chart, your core inside, home, family, mama, mother. You came out of that womb home, the inner emotions our environmental sensitivity, like being in an eggshell again, like just what's knocking on my door energetically, who's in my space, what's in my house. We also have food. Food is the idea of that which nourishes us. It's that which we take in to help protect and serve us, taking it in for a sense of safety, well-being, self-care. That's the next thing there. That is another Cancerian term. It's what we're doing that protects and nourishes ourselves. If you think about the egg experience of life, it's you've got all your nutrients in the shell. You're being fed from the storehouse of um, your home, your beginning. Out in the world, some other elements and some archetypes of life that are going to be fourth house Cancerian domains would be real estate. Anything doing with buying, selling land, land ownership, home ownership, your home, your roots, all of that real estate. And then the kitchen where you cook, all the cooking stuff. Those are going to be Cancerian domains. It's impossible to put everything on here, but now that I'm just sitting here live thinking, I'm like, of course, it's like all things dealing with childcare, small children, infants, all of that. It's things that relate to women's problems, women's gifts, anything that is women's related, women doctor, pregnancies, um, anything with that. Like out of I mean, all we could say out of 12 signs, half of them are yin and half of them are yang, but Cancer is really where we think about as being the quintessential mother sign out of the entire zodiac, I would argue. Um, and then thinking about it as a zone, it is that membrane that sensitively buffers against harmful contaminants while letting in nurturing experiences that nourishingly feed oneself, reflecting the contents of inner containment further out. And so a lot of things that I write up, I try to embed as many key words that make sense as I can. And so again, we're seeing this fourth house, this part of us that is our home, our inner self, that is reflected in the Cancer archetype, the moon's planet. Um, it is a buffer. It's like an insulating safe womb, safe room, safe house that we use to with our shell, with our bubble, with our protection, with our aura, whatever metaphors we're working with. You keep out with the boundary of that shell contaminants or things that might harm you. It protects. while in some way breathing or letting in, like a bubble, we choose what to eat, when to put up our hard shell and then when to feed. And so that it's also taking in the food. It's going to help the baby. If it's an egg, if it's at home in its little nest, it's got to grow and it's got to get bigger and stronger and all these things. So it is also the zone where we feed ourselves. Um, and it reflects the contents of what's inside further out. So whatever we let in or whatever gets in has a way of expressing later, of showing itself. You are what you eat, and that works with the diet of vibrations that you're letting into your life. So that's why, if someone's around crabby people, they can get crabby themselves. It rubs off. So what are you letting in your field is something that is part of your self-care regimen, and Cancer is over that. It's our early life infancy and it's key family. The members that one is at home with, and those could be literal family, could also, if you just live in a house full of people, it's people that live with you. Family can be literal or figurative. And it does have something a lot to do with our early life, the programming and patterning that we got at home, whatever that experience was for us all and how it's rippling out. Little final keyword soup. These are, there was like a filing cabinet. We were looking at that fourth file for Cancerian stuff. These are the big things we're going to find there. Home, family, mother for the win. Number one. That's top of the list. Everything that deals with that Trinity. Food, we've talked about self-care, safety, comfort, familiar, and that's got family embedded into the word even. And like when it's safe, when it's familiar, it's something we're at home with, all of these things. I didn't get nostalgia on, that's down there in another place, but that's another key word. Nostalgia. They like the past, the good things, the comfortable things, looking back and having that kind of familiar sense of coziness. Um, Very Cancerian. Nurturing foundations, our early beginnings. I think about it being at the bottom of the chart too, is like the floor, the foundation that you're on, the roots, the past. Infancy, memory, and sometimes what you may not remember it all, but your body does, your soul does, all of those early life imprinting, the imprinting, just like you think about baby ducks imprinting on a mama duck. Humans are more sophisticated, perhaps, but that idea of imprinting, early life family imprinting, which has karmic implications, past life implications, if you want to go, but that's a Cancerian zone. Subjectivity, because it's related to me. It's so personal. It's how I feel, how you hurt my feelings. Our inner sensitive me parts. The subjectivity is very Cancerian. And while it's flashing, while Cancer has this me, so that it's protecting, we've got to protect me, so that we can grow big into the world. That highest esoteric hierarchical level with Neptune. Neptune is not a me planet. Neptune is a very like, everything is one. It's everyone and no one together. So it takes this me impulse of subjectivity in Cancer. And again, universal mother, it's a way that we can nurture and see everything as and be at home with it all, without it being a so personal ego-based thing. But anyway, Cancer has to have that ego subjectivity so that it has something to be invested in protecting. The moodiness, that is a Cancerian thing, showed the emotions on the outside pretty easy. Habitual habits, things that are cyclical and rhythmic, fluctuations. I'm hungry, I'm full, I'm hungry, I'm full. Just like the moon, new and full and new and full. Cycles and rhythms and seasons, very Cancerian moon, etc. It also is about cautiously guarding inner sensitivity in order to incubate and grow in ways that nourish others similarly to one's own homeostasis. So, whatever self care you do for yourself with your caution to keep out threats and to be sensitive to what's good or bad and make sure you're getting enough of the good, you incubate and you grow. And the way that you grow is whatever homeostasis and comfort you keep inside. That's how you nurture others. You tend to extend the care and the love that you have grown familiar with. Whether you do it for yourself or you've seen it done, it's what's familiar becomes how we feed us and others. I like to think about the orientations to time with the signs. They all have a little bit of each, but if I was to pick one that was the favorite for Cancer, it's definitely past. This one was not hard for me to think about because it's so wrapped up in that nostalgia. Tenaciously remembers the past to hold on to nostalgic comforts. Yes, that is Cancer. It's not the only sign that likes an antique store, but it is one of them. Family heirlooms, things that have sentimental value, somebody I care about gave it to me, things that remind us of people we like, things that fed us, things that were comfy, cozy, warm blanket type of stuff. Cancer is good at holding on to the memory, to the object, all of that. In the present, activate soothing care in the present to gently calm and regulate. That's his job. It's digesting. It's the stomach is one of the organs of Cancer. So it's constantly digesting emotional input, the food that we take in, or like whatever the vibes are. If we're around like rowdy people, like you're digesting rowdy vibes. Like how much can you take before you explode or become moody? So Cancer's regulating and constantly finding ways to, I need a drink of water, I need a snack. What do I need? I need a nap. I'm needing to soothe with care so that I calm and regulate my system. And they're good at mamaing others or the family, their friends, their environment, doing that for them, the other people in their environment, because it keeps their environment regulated, which helps them digest. If the people I have to digest with are digesting well too, then it helps me digest. So there's an investment in gently calming and regulating family to whatever degree one has learned and had that care done for them. There's all sorts of dysfunctional ways this can happen, but there's a generalized kind of format to what it's trying to accomplish. Future orientation preemptively gauges the future for abrasions that threaten security. Yeah, it's on the outlook for threats. Cancer is looking for, like, got its spider sense tingling. What could go wrong? What can I get ahead of? How can I store up for the winter? Anything that might threaten its security in some way, whether that's a food security, a relationship security, what's the danger? What could scratch at my shell and get into my world in an intrusive way? And that's how it's looking at the future. So those three outlets and time. All right, this is the fun part of the round table where I look at each sign and how they get along with the other signs at the table because every sign talks to and with all the other signs in some way. They just have different conversations and ways of getting along. The first one is always opposite, two signs opposite the table. I say they're not having problems. They are complementary. They're in a marriage. So the opposite sign is uniquely tied to whatever its opposite sign is. So Cancer being cardinal water, look at that. Capricorn's cardinal earth. We're going to see a lot of opposites here that complement. If Cancer is our subjective inner emotional world, Capricorn on the other side is the objective world out there, just the facts out in the world. If Cancer is sensitive, Capricorn is tough. If Cancer is our inner world, our inner life, Capricorn is the outer world and outer life. We've got the obvious mama, the papa, mother and father. Cancer is all about our home and our family, domestic security. And Capricorn is all about careers and profession, our public security and reputation. So there's a direct yin and yang operating between those two. I love from I think it was Cloud Atlas when they say from womb to tomb, we are bound to others and all sorts of little quote or whatnot. But womb to tomb, Cancer is the womb, and then in various respects, Capricorn is the tomb, the world, we die to the world. They both have an entrance and exit quality about them in different ways. Cancer is the impetus to secure familial foundations of comfortable nurturance in one's home. We want to have a good home. We want a safe, secure family foundation. It's all about our private life, our home and our family. What's going to keep us safe and comfortable? That's the zone. Capricorn, the impetus is to secure societal standing of enduring prestige out amongst the world. So it's what are you the boss at? What are you known for? How are you the manager and the executor and all these types of things? It's out in the world with your profession. It's the classic mom and dad story of a sense of, home, hunter gatherer, in and out. It's that. They're both what would form the axis of security. And we see it's an inner security and an outer security, but they're both concerned with security and securing that which makes them feel secure. They're both cardinal, so they're both good at starting stuff. We're starting summer, we're starting winter. They're both good at starting. And they're both yin or passive in their elemental nature. Even though we've got mom and dad, both of them are, by virtue of being earth and water, yin or passive elements. That just means there's a little bit of a the thing about Capricorn being Earth, like the way that crystals slowly, gradually grow. It's a slow process. And Cancer is wanting to again sit there in a calm, still not moving lake. We don't need a lot of disruptions. It's just calm and secure, and it's not trying to do too much or be too extra with all of the activity. So it's settled. And that's kind of a hint of the yin or passive nature of both of these. Processing at the processing plant, all in a row, we've got its neighbors being Gemini and Leo. So we've got Gemini, Cancer, Leo, 3, 4, 5. So you can think about how each sign is progressively going into the next, and this is how that flow goes. We just had Gemini last month, mutable air, and that's where coming from Taurus, it was securing a solid foundation of what one had acquired a definite taste for. And then in Gemini, we have a process of analytical dissection is navigated to learn all the diverse facets to the various components of what comprise the entailed appreciation, seeking to know all about it in a manner that can be articulated and communicated for extended learning. So Gemini really had that Taurus sense of what it liked and valued. And then in Gemini, it just got permission to kind of look at everything about it, learn it all, communicate it all, and just go into a flurry of analysis and accumulating information, acquiring know-how, circulating, analyzing, all of that, articulating, all of that. Well, now we've gotten to cardinal water with Cancer. And so from navigating and analyzing a diverse variety of oppositional polarities, so from Gemini, looking at both sides of everything, in order to more fully know the exact nature of something, we're a know-it-all after Gemini. All that has been articulated into dissemination is congealed into a bubble of encapsulation of oneself. So everything that Gemini went out there with a flurry and just acquired and learned and did this and had these experiences and tried the shoe on every foot and tripped and fell and did this and went back and forth, all of that is kind of like congealed into an egg, into a bubble. And that is our self. There is a sense of self, just like Aries is like the first sign that's like, bam, here I am. Cancer is a different sense of birth, of here I am, but I'm more of a collected, encapsulated, ensouled entity at that point. And it's held securely with an effort to nurture and protect such as an encasement of one's sensitive soul self that provides soothing comfort. So all of that stuff from Gemini is congealed together into the bubble, and that's what we're holding together and nurturing. We're nurturing it so it's fed so it gets bigger, grows, and we're making sure that it's held safe and tight so that nothing kind of knocks it up and beats it up or, trashes it. And so we're congealing a sense of self from everything that we have circuited. And that's what Cancer's doing. Well, from Cancer, the teaser and spoiler alert for where we're going from that, everything in that egg, well, Leo's fixed fire, and from what's nourished by tenacious roots and nurtured by sensitively protective boundaries, the inner content of who and what one is blooms into full shine. So that egg, that whatever we've encapsulated hatches and blooms and shines. I think about like the sun hatching out essentially into a full shine, radiantly expressing its creative brilliance with gusto to enliven a field or an audience. And so that which we had nurtured is able to shine, is able to express, is able to show off, is able to radiate. That's what the sun is doing. That is what Leo's doing. It's expressing that creativity. Everything that's been nurtured in on the inside, impressed into us, the way that it's been imprinted and impressed is how it is then expressed. It's an expression of creativity. Um, and it enlivens. It is enlivened and it enlivens. It's bright, it's warm, it's hot, it's fiery at that point. It's hatching out with aliveness. And that's why it's shown off. It's being seen. It's standing out in front of an audience. Other people see it and applaud, or it enlivens a field. And I love that because it is like the way that a sun enlivens the plants growing in a field. The creative expressions of somebody's self that have been nurtured can be applied to any field, a field of a creative endeavor, a field of science, a field of knowledge. It's enlivening whatever field it's shining upon at that point in Leo. So we can see 3, 4, 5 through the neighbors. There's a process. And so Cancer gets Gemini because it's its neighbor over here, and it was just doing that whole thing. So it's really familiar with what's coming from there. And it knows Leo because it's sitting right next to it. And so it's going to be going there soon. It gets what it's about because it's on the way. So they are the neighbors. It has nothing in common with the neighbors. Fire, water, air, mutable, cardinal, fixed. They don't have nothing in common other than the familiar proximity and a recognition of relationship to the stage of a process behind or ahead. So it's because they're so close. I know them. I see them all the time. They're in the houses next to mine. And that's how it relates to its neighbors. On the other side of the table, but not quite opposite, we have the oddest conversations at the table, which are the quincunxes, or called an inconjunct. That's Sagittarius and Aquarius here. But if you have the complete set of three, you have what's called a yod, which is the fingertip of God. And it tends to have a special significance at that point. But we have to think that if you see Cancer here, it's opposite Capricorn. But if you go over to Capricorn, you go to the left, it's a little bit cockeyed toward Aquarius. Or if you go over to the right, it's a little bit cockeyed toward Sagittarius. And so those angles of 150 degrees are a little bit odd, a little bit awkward for the planets. They don't have anything in common. They don't see eye to eye. They don't know what to do with one another. And so I'm going to illustrate that with this for a second, but then we'll think about how if you got all of them hanging out, oh my gosh, it's like you get a superpower. So Cancer is this cardinal water creature, and its release point in life is kind of about inner sustenance. What's going to feed me inside? What sustains me? Comforting nostalgia, the things that feel good that I remember, the member berries. Um, family foundations. Where do I come from? My roots. Who am I a part of? Who's my tribe? Sensitive protection, feeling it out and, vibe check. Self-care, domestic comfort. All of this is how it likes to release itself. It's taking in, and what it's getting through feeding itself with nourishing experiences that which I want to soak up because it's going to help feed me, while filtering out that which is harmful. Cancer. So it's all about this inner self and keeping it safe and growing. Sagittarius, mutable fire. Well, it is foreign frontiers. You are at home with Sagittarius. You are in another country. You have gone a long way away. You can't walk back. It's a foreign place, foreign frontiers, not familiar. Long distance travel, a land far away, broad exploration. We're not keeping things close at home. We're going far out. Long range outreach. So thinking about the often the future, way ahead. Cancer wants to keep everything close by. Everything, well, that's my concern is my local environment. Is it safe? Is it comfortable? Is it feeding me? Does it have what I need? Sagittarius is looking out there for where can I go? What can I explore? What's the next adventure that I can learn? Stuff I don't already know and have. Sagittarius takes in with philosophical learning, asking all these deep questions, spiritually questing, nomadic roaming, expansive opportunities. We're trying things that we've never done before in Sagittarius. That's not cozy, comfy, familiar. That's not at home. That's not, if I'm sensitive and protective, that sounds like all sorts of threatening things. So they don't understand one another. Aquarius, fixed air. It's all about groups. Let's go hang out with lots of people, with friends. Let's do radical innovation. We want to try things we've never done before. We're going to invent new things. We're going to do it a new way. Whoa, that doesn't sound comfy, cozy, familiar. That's not like I've always done all those times in the past that I really am used to and remember nostalgically. Cancer, all these groups and people, those are not my family that know me, that I can trust, that are just like me. No, these groups of different people and weird outliers and radical people, but unconventional orientation. I'm all traditional in Cancer. Futuristic breakthrough with Aquarius. Wow, that's completely opposite of Cancer love in the past. Aquarius is breaking through to the future. Spontaneous change, that's not going to be the same as it's always been and what's familiar. It's going to be like lightning bolt. It's going to disrupt things. It's a tower card. Aquarius wants to take in from shocking, awakening, advancing, progressing, collectively unifying, experimenting, liberating, uplifting. Oh my gosh, that sounds a little too active. That sounds extremely alive and charged up and moving and unpredictable for Cancer, which likes everything comfy, cozy, safe. So it's a really weird fit for Cancer to try to talk to Aquarius. They don't have a lot in common. So you can see how if somebody had Cancer and Sagittarius planets or Cancer and Aquarius planets, it's kind of like being on a seesaw where one planet's going to get a turn, and then the other planet's going to get a turn. But they don't see eye to eye, and they don't really know or see why the other one's doing anything it's doing. So it's kind of not seeing each other. However, when you have a sextile platform, when I have two planets linking Aquarius and Sagittarius, and they're both pointing and talking to a planet in Cancer, you have your yod. You have a sextile foundation, and it's pointing a finger over here at the Cancer planet. Now think about it this way. If somebody has a foundation, they have an opportunity that's founded between all of these foreign opportunities and seeking outside the box and a wide social network and a radical innovative mindset that's looking for innovations and breakthroughs and change, and I'm open to things being unusual and far out, and deep thinking about the meaning and the reason behind things. If all of that outward expansion, that outbound reach is a foundational platform I have in my life. When it links in, even though it's unfamiliar and funky with that home planet in our Cancer zone, that planet kind of has a lot of exposure to those foreign landscapes and those unconventional experimental spaces so that it's really good. That Cancer planet is really good at knowing how to safeguard a lot of weird threats, how to make sure that we keep that bubble safe from foreign threats that most people may not even be aware of. funky, weird, unusual threats, things that are way too far out for other people to even realize they're letting in. So it gives them that ability. And I've explored further out and I've experimented with weirder things out there so that I know about things I do want to take in that will really feed me, that other people that have stayed locked in at home all the time have never been exposed to, so they don't know that they could be getting this. So it provides a supercharged sense of how to provide safety and nurturance from the platform of those foreign places and those outside the box opportunities. Those two linking up create a platform that supports that planet in that yod position. And so that is how those conversations are so odd and weird and can be uneven when it's just isolated, and how they can radically transform and suggest almost like a superpower of perspective in the lifetime if you've got all of them singing together. Easier allies, Taurus and Virgo. They are the two doors down neighbors that are the same element. Well, not the same element, I'm sorry, but the same, I don't want to say job, polarity. They're both yin. Earth and water get together because they are chill in that let's keep things settled. You put a rock on the table and it's going to sit there. It's not going to try to jump off. It's going to stay settled and stable. You fill a cup with water, it's going to fill the space and it's going to want to sit there and hold that space that it's in. So the earth and the water signs are yin, and those next door neighbors provide a sextile relationship that provides opportunity. Thinking about just Cancer, it is that home base of emotional comfort and familiarity for nurturing the self with care, and it's favorable towards safe containers of supportive influences while shielding from disruptive impressions. That's its MO. Taurus and Cancer is a notorious couple. So many energies and couples, like those two vibes get together way, way good. Taurus also likes good food for the sensual enjoyment, and Cancer loves food for the protection and emotional satisfaction and feeding other people. They get along great. Taurus has grounded sensibilities in touch with matters of practicality for sustaining pleasure. So it's a real safety net. It's super. Taurus is all about security, and Cancer loves some security. So Taurus seems really rock hard and steady, in touch with practical things that are sustainable and things that feel good. Cancer loves that. Safe and comfortable and pleasurable. Sign it up. They're great. Favorable towards steady security to enjoy the sensual world. Taurus wants to make sure it's got the money and the resources to have that material girl experience of what it likes. And so Cancer is going to feel safe and secure doing that, and it's gonna want to make sure it feeds that Taurus too. It's a very copacetic relationship between these two signs as archetypes. Over there with mutable Earth for Virgo, we've got practical routines and systems of organization to promote efficient flow and planned utilization of work environment. That also helps support Cancer with feeling safe. Everything's familiar, it's organized in its place, it works in a steady, predictable way, it's practical. Oh, that feels safe. That feels like Cancer can relax. Virgo is favorable towards smooth precision for effective navigation of day-to-day life. So all of the processes that we have to do in a routine, cyclic, habitual way is made practically efficient. Oh, it's just like Cancer is able to emotionally relax, knowing that Taurus energy is nearby, holding everything steady, and Virgo energy is on this other side, keeping everything circulating and maintained and lubricated and moving well. And so they really work together to create a little bucket of safety and security. And so those easy allies in those sextile relationships, see, challengers, few other challenging situationships that they're in would be Aries and Libra. Those are the two signs that square up on Cancer. They're not opposite like Capricorn, but to complete this cardinal cross, those two are square to Cancer. And a square relationship is it's often thought of to have the nature of Mars. It is a little bit more. It stimulates, catalyzes, and challenges. They all are cardinals, so they all want to start stuff, but they got different motives. They've got different elemental positions that spur them into action. Again, Cancer being cardinal water, strong drive to initiate action based on emotional safety and subjective benefit. What's going to keep me safe and what's going to make me feel good. It insulates one's inner realm to cushion against outer threats and incubating a domestic domain of familial comfortability. We just want to keep it safe and copacetic at home. Cancer is willing to take action and start the party if it is going to feel good and safe at home or keep something out so it's, again, safe at home. It's all about the home front. Aries, cardinal fire. Just by the nature of fire, it wants to burst through the scene. It wants to go and get out there, burn through whatever's in the way. So it has a strong drive to initiate action based on raw instinct and visceral desire. I just feel like it'd be fun to jump out that window kind of vibes. Fostering one's core identity with qualities of strength, independence, vitality, and vigor, where achievements are chiefly personal. It's like, what can I do? Because I want to do it, so I did it, and I can do it on my own, and I can do it anywhere, and I don't need you to do it. And that's Aries is fun. I want to do stuff. I want to start it. I want to be in charge. Um, and I don't care if you do it. I don't care if you care if I do it. Um, it's just doing it for the sake of it being done. And so it's not always safe in Aries land. They're not picking things for, is it going to add to safety the same way that Cancer is? Is it going to be exciting and am I going to like it? And then it's just so I can say I did it because I wanted to. Libra is over here in cardinal air. It's taking action based on these social and mental dimensions of things. It has a strong drive to initiate action based on social attractions of value with regards to enhancing cooperation, companionship, beauty, justice, truth, harmony, fairness, and diplomacy. Those are a few of Libra's favorite things. So yeah, Libra, we can think about it being kind of passive out of the I don't know, out of the cardinal signs perhaps, but it really will. It doesn't mind extending a hand and giving the first handshake and giving the first introduction when there's a social attraction. It could be somebody that is attracted to the Libra for whatever reason, for mental reasons, for physical reasons, for any kind of reasons. There's an attractive quality feature, uh, informational piece, etc. So there's taking action if others have got something that would fit, that would be a fit, that would complement something, whether it's self or others. Libra is not just about itself, it's kind of the social interface. So it's taking action when things could add to the beauty, justice, truth, harmony, cooperation, getting things done, social connection, all of that. It's got to be about other people or how we're fitting other parts together, things that are external or other, getting complementary, complement, complementarily balanced and harmonized with one another. So Libra has that very interactive component. Aries is that very on my own component. And Cancer is like whatever I'm at home component. It's just on the inside. We don't need too many people and we don't need to be too reckless with ourselves. So Cancer is squaring off against both of those characters that all want to start stuff. They all want to say this is how we should do it, but they all have different reasons. They all have different motives and they can clash when they get into arguments. Um, some signs that won't argue at all, really. Elemental water buddies. They are all water. They get along super easy and good. These are the best relationships with the archetypes because they're the same element. They flow together super easy. With Scorpio and Pisces, they're all water in general. That means they all totally understand what it's like to be sensitive, emotional, maybe a bit irrational because we think about air being rational. We could also say abstract. I did say abstract, impressionable. And then cool and wet are water adjectives in that respect. Cool and wet. Um, all of these three have that in common. Well, Cancer being cardinal, Scorpio being fixed, Pisces being mutable. Um, there's a flow between a trinity of elements in that fashion. And the image, before I read and work through what I've got here, the image for this water trio is very much Cancer being like filling up the cup. What's filling you up? What are you feeding your inner cup of contents? What are we filling what are we pouring into ourselves? Scorpios, you got a whole cup of water and you are analyzing and digging and going to the bottom and really sitting with a full cup of water. And then Pisces is pouring the water out. It's emptying the water. It's letting go of the water, surrendering the water. So we've got a water flow with our cups here. Cardinal's water of Cancer is emotional or soul action. This is Cardinal. It's the action needed to nurture and feed one's sense of soul safety so that one has protective boundaries to keep out threats and bring in nourishment. By this time, it should sound like a broken record. Keep out threats, bring in nourishment. That is Cancer. So you should know that sign by this time. And that's what it takes action based on. It is that crab. It's sitting there. It's like, oh my gosh, is there a fish trying to eat me? I need to scurry to the left. I need to move, get out the way of a threat. Or ooh, I'm sensing there's something tasty. It's going to make me feel good. It's going to help me grow. I'm bringing it in. That's Cancer. It's taking action based on those things. Scorpio is fixed. It's still, it's holding water. It is emotional or soul. Security. Again, that word security, we think about it all over the place. It's got different places, but anything fixed is a secure, amassed kind of concentration of that elemental energy. So we have an elemental emotional soul concentration happening with Scorpio, where the investments and exchanges engaged in order to hold on to a deeper sense of involved business with life that's in a manner that transcends limitations and endures crisis. So Scorpio is sitting here with all of its emotional exchange with other people, the things it's done with others, how it's invested in other people or traded and merged things with other people, how it's doing that to do business with life, how it's moving within all the water of the relationships and exchanges with others in a way that helps it to transcend limitations. I've got to work with investing in others and working with others to transcend what I can't do. My limitations, my finite self has to participate with others in business to do that and to endure through crisis. In order to make it through hard times that might snuff out an individual, we join forces with others or others, the assets and resources of others in that same water are there. And it's how we move in that whole soup of water that we're doing mixed business with others. Then Pisces mutable water is emotional and soul learning. There's a learning in the letting go aspect of Pisces in this water, the letting go and relinquishment of egoic desires, where things kind of just slip out of our hands or things that are selfish seem pointless and things become selfless in an orientation. So we're adapting so as to release all sources of sorrow, all the things that we were unmet expectations about, all the things we did that we wish we hadn't done, all the things we didn't do that we wish we had done, all the sources of sorrows. We're emotionally learning what matters through the grace of understanding a bigger picture karmically, allows us to letting go in this emotional wisdom that kind of washes things out, an emptying and a freeing in this Piscean emotional learning. So we're taking action, we're holding it together so that we can navigate and then swim through it, and we're letting it all go. And so these three signs really understand water, emotional and social. Let me say not social, that's there, emotional and soul components of life. And just how we swim through that business for our own safety, through our exchanges with others, and being a self-referential point, but also a selfless person in that bigger collective whole. All right, we've looked at that sign as a theme and an archetype with all of its angles. And now for this year, I'm spending a splash of time looking at what Cancer season looks like this time for 2026. And it just popped off on June 21st on our summer solstice. The time it looks like it was 4:25 a.m. is when the sun hit 000 of Cancer. And at the beginning, first thing we see is Sun is in a square to Neptune, which it has been loosely a little bit from the end of Gemini even, and it is for the next few days. So there's kind of I think about Sun and Neptune in a square is kind of like a little bit of a foggy start to the day. It's a little bit kind of like dreamy, and I've got a lot of big ideas, but I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do with it all. It's got a dreamy, idealistic sense of identity, but not fully formed, not fully clear. It can have a little bit of rose-colored glasses with that square. Venus is still trine to Neptune at 9 degrees Leo. So we have a little bit of love and kind of we enjoy a little bit of that romanticism, that Neptune vibe of not having boundaries, of being transcendental. Um, all of the passions and fires about that. It's kind of like we have like I would say this is adding to a sense of a lot of ooh la la, it's summertime and the fun and the romance of summer, the romanticism of the vibe. Venus is also tuning in that trine towards Saturn as well, which is stable and practical. So it is kind of like as much as we can be dazzled about the things of the imagination and the abstract and the musical fun, we're also really thinking seriously about it. What's practical? Why are we doing it? How is the fun going to matter? What is it building toward? Our relationships carry both of those vibes now, of like dreamy and transcendental, but also like practical and ambitious. So those vibes through Venus are tuning in together at this time. Mercury is still conjoining Jupiter. It hadn't quite reached it all the way. Nah, spoiler alert, I don't think it does. But it's still hugging up to Jupiter, which means that our mind is really thinking outside the box in some bigger ways, or thinking larger, farther out, further ahead, learning big things, being okay with studying, maybe even some traveling abroad. All of these things that are taking the mind to foreign places and expanding how we move around, maybe going places we don't typically do, moving around more. All of that is happening in that process. Mars still sextile Mercury and Jupiter. So we look at Mars, it's still making a sextile to that. So that's really like kind of giving it some gas on the throttle, some passion, some drive, I'll take action and do it. When it comes to talking, communicating, moving, traveling, going and seeing stuff. I mean, it seems kind of like we might, as much as there's some stability things in Mars being in Taurus and maybe the fact that we're now Cancer, um, Mars charging up Mercury and Jupiter is like not afraid to do stuff, not afraid to drive across town to have an experience or a conversation. So it's kind of like that supercharged to the activity. While approaching a conjunction with Uranus, yeah, so Mars is just even getting more and more excited about doing unusual things or being outside the box. So all those learnings and interactions and communications that are getting sparked right now, are just really exciting us. New information, new people to talk to, new experiences outside the box. That's the vibe buzzing at the beginning. Let's see how this vibe starts to roll. Second week, sun's just gone a little bit further, and it's got a little bit of a funk with Pluto in this quincunx. And his square to Neptune is still going on and is starting a little bit with Saturn. So what I feel like is the square here is we have a little bit of idealism and like I don't really know what I want, the unclarity. It seems like as it starts to square with Saturn too, it's like as we see what we want, it's like, oh crap, I've got to work for it, or oh, there's some challenges, or oh, there's like a test I have to take, or there's some work involved that's kind of putting some pressure on what's going to make us feel at home and comfy, cozy, and be good for how we're feeding and caring for ourselves this season. Whatever our imagination and dream might be the ideal. It's hitting a wall of like what kind of work is required or what the regulations will be. The funk with Pluto here won't last extremely long, just the way that that will break in a couple days. But it does signify kind of maybe a moment of pressure of like what I want, what feels good for me at home, what am I at home with, being some way challenged by a sense of pressure from a group pressure that is psychological pressure, other people trying to control things, the bigger sway of a bigger crowd that might think in a radically different way, or like trying to get us to conform. So the conforming pressure to something that is maybe external or out there really seeming like a funky fit with what we want at home inside ourselves, which could be again compounded with a splash of confusion and wondering like what wall we're coming up against. What wall do we need to maybe meet the standard of or just stay away from? So that conversation is happening this week. Venus is healthfully trine Saturn here, so there's something about our relationships that might feel like there's some that we can strongly count on. There's a sense of like really valuing the people that are sturdy and practical, anything that maybe is going to be like an anchor or grounding rod amidst some of this confusion and maybe some of these pressures that could seem like they're maybe coming from outside. There could be some pleasant aspects that are familiar that are kind of embolstering and emboldening and kind of making us feel more independent. Especially on this day, I happen to land on a day where the moon is in a making a grand trine with them, and that is June 28th. I don't talk about the moon in this because it moves so fast, but hey, if you want to track June 28th, that's a nice day where things should be sensible and pleasant to have Saturn and Venus tuned in like that. So, but yeah, Venus is seeming like kind of steady at this point still. Mars Uranus is tightening. Like Mars is just like it's like he's about to explode. It's like a super excitement is getting charged up. That can be radical. Just I mean, Mars and Uranus is at Titans. We're talking disruptions. We're talking about surprises. It could be random radical fights. It could be, genies popping out of the bottle really quick. It's all sorts of electric stimulated, charged, catalyzing action that's spontaneous, unpredictable, etc. Getting excited. So that Mars excitement is tightening. And that Mars energy is also trining Pluto. So like Mars, and if you notice Mars ain't got no red lines, it's like got a lot of let's do it. We want to try something new. I'm going to take bold action. I'm going to be independent. I don't have to know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to kind of go on faith a little bit. I'm working with other people as much as I can. I'm joining forces where it makes sense. I've been doing a lot of thinking about it. I've been expansive. I'm open-minded. There's just a lot of open, yes, like moving forward energy that does not have to be predictable. In fact, it dances on its toes pretty easy. It changes really easy. Um, Mars is having like a pretty good time in this zone. Mercury and Jupiter are tightening. Look how close they are now, 26 to 29. So Mercury and Jupiter keep getting closer. So it's like our mind and our planning for the future and really our small thoughts getting closer and closer to what do we want to plan for further out? What is our 5-year goal? What is our next year, far ahead type of vibes? There's a lot of planning. That says, though, right before Mercury retrogrades the next day. So I believe June 29th, Mercury is going to retrograde. And Jupiter is into Leo the next. So I believe June 30th. That's when we see this Jupiter move from 29 degrees Cancer to 0 degrees Leo. That's important. So there's something about like all of this planning and thinking and whatnot that we may have to go back into, or some of these communications or things that we've learned. Again, the retrograde phase of Mercury implies review, redo, um, revisit, all of these kind of qualities where it could be like right before we're about to move something forward or go on a big trip or whatever the literal or metaphoric thing could be. It's about to be a time to like go back, and it's going back inside ourselves. Does this really, it's almost like it could be like before you move forward with your 5-year plan, is this really something that you're at home with? Have you been pressured by other people to adopt this plan? Is there some kind of external should or obligation you're following that doesn't really make you feel safe or nurtured? You're about to have to explain that to yourself. And at the same time, you might be getting a taste of that because Venus has been dancing in Leo. So we've been having a lot of fun with what you like. So were you about to get into a long range plan that could have been confused and pressured by external things and sources that were impressing upon you what they were trying to imprint for you to do that was going to create a lot of work and stress, and maybe you need to review it and go back and see if it's really going to keep you safe. Is it really going to feed your soul? Is it really going to be self-care and nurturance? Or were you just getting ready to buckle down and weather through it? That could be part of the archetypal story here. Because Venus has been showing us what we love. And the very next day, as that starts, Jupiter goes into Leo too. So we have a season where Jupiter's like, hey, let's take everything about everything fun that you love and have more. Let's have a large time. Let's expand the abundance of fun, creativity, play, enjoyment, uh, all the entertainment factors. The fun box of life is getting Jupiter this season coming up. And so that is all about fun and enlivening us. And so if we were going to make some long range plans based on playing it safe, it really looks like there's something that shows us and reminds us what really would be fun so that we will tune into that before we sign on the dotted line of a far out plan that is not quite the long range that we would really be hoping for. Something about trying to play it safe or secure, all of these safe, secure things kind of getting a I don't know if I want to play it that safe. I don't know if this safe path or whatever has got what's really feeding. And the next thing that's gonna keep telling the story is Mars in Taurus, a little bit slow and maybe thinking about safe and secure too. Is about to throw that right out the window as soon as it touches Uranus and goes into Gemini, which is happening by week 3. Sun is square Saturn at this point. So again, this could be a moment of saying no, or something saying no to us, or there being a wait or a delay. It could be if we're like on track and we're wanting to do it and we're going through, it's like this is the hard work part. All right, you're sure with what you want to do, and like it's going to be fun and it's going to require some new things, and you're ready to go, Pilgrim, then this is the hard work of it. But it can also be kind of like the force and the pressure of like, is this really what I want? Should I turn back now? Am I planning for the wrong thing? Um, that review process is in effect. We have Mercury retrograding now amidst that sun square. We now have Mars conjunct Uranus in Gemini with the trine to Pluto. So, bam, we are fired up to do it a new freaky way outside the box. We are willing to work deep, long, hard. However, we can work with others of like mind, but we are going to be lightning in a bottle. We want to work with other experimental, innovative people. We're really good at the group vibe, really good at the unconventional stuff. We're really not good at being told what to do right now. We're really not good at conforming to things that don't really authentically buy. So there's this way of working really well with people we want to work with, and maybe doing our own thing other ways, being part of this. In fact, I can also see now Venus squaring that Mars Uranus. It's a point where, like, yeah, some people are going to be, whoa, you are my kind of weird. You're floating my boat in this unconventional way that I want to work with. Or it could be like, hey, you are like pompous in a way that is not vibing for me and like other people, and your style is like got to split. So we could have this idea of like random collaborations with new people that are like-minded, that are like exciting. And then we could also have some frustrations where the other people are like disruptive and rubbing us the wrong way and really causing us to like want to rebel and not do. But some spicy interactions look to be charging up though, because Venus and Mars are talking, and Venus with Uranus is talking. So the idea of electric and spicy and charged social interactions getting ripened here as she's getting ready to work her way into Virgo. And then Jupiter is in Leo now, just like I said, 1 degree in Leo. So Jupiter is starting to say yes, 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 bringing in opportunity and abundance for the fun vibe, the entertainment vibe, the creative vibe, the expression vibe. Week 4, Sun, Mercury are meeting in a square to Saturn. So around this time, that means that we will have this day or in the vicinity before or after another Mercury cazimi, which is a great moment of clarity for communication or messages or just an aha of all mercurial things that day when it is in the heart of the sun. The square to Saturn is really calling us to still be very cautious and serious. All right, what do you want? Did you figure out if this was good for you or not? Did you stop it if you were getting too far into something that you were going to need to turn around with? Or cool, you're ready to keep building, and like here's a key piece of information that's just perfect for that next foundation. So there's a pointed kind of immaculate particular sense of um, information this day that has got a serious vibe of challenge from Saturn in whatever that respect. Venus and Virgo squaring the Uranus and Mars more. We just see that she is in Virgo now. So from all of that play, she's letting Jupiter take over with the Leo play story, while Venus is really wanting to fine tune its sense of perfection, its sense of service. What is it doing with everything that was fun? This particular day also features Venus as the apex planet between Neptune and Pluto. Sorry, I'm a little distracted because the weather's a little funky right now. Um, but that general yod with Venus is saying there's a lot, whatever Venus is ready to get down to business with, and Venus is not really uh in love with Virgo. Um, so I forget, is it it's a sign of the fall, because she likes to have fun and pleasure, and Virgo's the working girl. But there's something about the way that Venus is able to do its own thing and be effective and efficient now that seems like it's got some benefit for collective endeavors, benefit for ourself in a way that like it's almost like sometimes your best medicine is not the most fun medicine or tastiest medicine. Benefit of the self, even while it could also